I'm joined now by Dave Umhoefer and Tom Kertscher, two of our PolitiFact Wisconsin reporters, and we're going to take a look at how the governor has fared on the truth-o-meter. So, first of all, one number is 144. We've done 144 ratings on Governor Walker. Dave, why have there been so darn many on him?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, reader demand for items on the governor is off the charts. He's at the center of the state political scene, the budget, and now, you know, certainly over the last year, he's become a true national figure, has been aggressively running for president unofficially, and you know, he just figures so prominently into our philosophy of wanting to look at timely and topical items.
All right, and Tom, just remind our readers, what are we looking for when we take a statement? What makes it appealing for us to fact check?
We're always looking for statements that make us stop and say, really, is that true? Something that's topical, something that makes a strong claim in a factual way. And the fact that it's made by Scott Walker tends to raise a level of interest even more because of passion on both sides, for and against him.
And we've done, of course, many statements of Democrats about Scott Walker, so there's a whole range of things we've done. But let's start with some of these Scott Walker ones to look at, and we'll start with this statement. Hillary Clinton's rejection of efforts to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat not only defies logic, but the will of the majority of Americans. We rated that mostly true. Dave, tell us why.
Polls do show a strong bipartisan support for voter ID. And it's right to say that IDs make it harder to cheat in some cases, but he was off in saying that it makes it easier to vote.
Right, and that was a little back and forth those two had about voter access.
Yep.
Right, so this one is for Tom. This is Scott Walker saying that Barack Obama told the U.S. Coast Guard Academy that the #1 threat to the military and the world today is global warming, and that one we rated mostly false. Talk about it.
Yeah, the president on many occasions has said climate change, there's no greater threat to the world than climate change. But in the speech to the Coast Guard graduates that the governor cites, Obama described climate change as a serious threat, but not #1.
Okay. This was one that Scott Walker made talking about the unemployment rate, and bear with me because it's kind of long. Nationally, the unemployment rate for veterans is far greater than the national unemployment rate. And in Wisconsin, one of those rare examples where unemployment is actually lower for veterans than it is for the population as a whole, and certainly lower than it is nationally. Maybe if that's a talking point, he's got to tighten it up. But Dave, we rated that half true.
We got to tighten it up. Yeah. That's a mouthful for sure. In many states, including Wisconsin, veterans are less likely to be unemployed. At the same time, our veterans do much better than the national average, so it was kind of a
mixed bag.
Right.
All right, so here's one. Scott Walker saying, my support from young voters, those 18 to 24, in November of 2014 was, quote, largely unheard of for a Republican. We rated that half true. Tom?
And this, of course, is when the governor ran for re-election and defeated Mary Burke. There were 3 other Republicans around the country who ran for governor. What we found is that Walker did better than 2 of them among voters 18 to 24, but the 3rd governor did better than Walker did.
All right, so we're running through claims from that Governor Scott Walker has made in anticipation of his announcement. You can find them all at politifactwisconsin.com/Scott Walker. Here's one for Dave. His Walker statement was, for our next 2 years in my state, we will end with a structural surplus of $499 million, and we rated that mostly true.
The figure was from a reliable estimate, but the budget was not a done deal at that time, so we put it at mostly true.
All right, we're going to get probably about 2 more here. So this one is, thanks to the Act 10 collective bargaining law that took effect 4 years ago, ACT scores in Wisconsin are now 2nd best in the country for states where more than half the kids took the exam, and we rated that mostly false. Tom?
So in 2012, the year after Act 10 took effect, Wisconsin did move from 3rd to 2nd in the ACT rankings, but it was largely because Iowa's ranking actually dropped a little more than Wisconsin's did, and we also found there was no evidence that Act 10, the collective bargaining law,
so our
had
scores were basically flat, and the others, Iowa dropped a little bit.
Right.
All right, so and this is our last one before we'll take our reader questions. This is a Walker statement. This is, Minnesota's advantage in economic growth has been having Republicans in charge of at least one part of government for all but 2 years, while Wisconsin Democrats, quote, for many years before 2011 controlled both legislative chambers and the governorship. Again, we got to work on tightening these talking points, but Dave, we rated that one false.
In reality, Democrats in Wisconsin only had a 2-year run in total control, while Governor Walker and fellow Republicans are now in year 5.